Thanks. So you can move on to the next one. Thank you. So this session will be recorded. We do like to post these onto YouTube afterwards, so they're available for anyone who couldn't make it. So if you don't wish to have your image visible, please turn off your camera. And if you wouldn't mind keeping your microphones muted until the Q&A session at the end, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So let's introduce you to the beekeepers then we have here at the Warwick office. So myself, I'm Lee, I'm the head beekeeper here, and Gaz in shot next to me here. So he's helping, he's going to be doing some close-up filming today. And we've also got Magda that joined us last year. She isn't here at the moment, but Magda's been attending quite a few visits in the last 12 months. So we look after the hives here at the Warwick office. And yes, what can I tell you about the beekeeping season? Well, last year was very unusual, very different year to what has been so far this year. So last year we conducted 2 bee talks, and we talked at the very beginning of the year about how fabulous it was. It was lovely and dry. It gave the bees a real head start into collecting pollen and nectar, and a lot of honey was created in the spring last year, and that went on until the summer. However, the latter part of the summer was very dry for a very long time, and it became a drought year, and the nectar in essence dried up. There weren't many plants that were producing nectar at the latter part of the year, so we did well to get through that. We actually produced more honey than we've ever produced, over 300 jars of honey last year, which is almost 4 times the amount we've ever produced before. So it was a fabulous year for us, although a challenging year. We prepared the bees very well at the end of the year, gave them all the Varroa treatment to make sure that they were as strong as possible going into the winter, fed them with supplementary feed, and packed them in with loads of food throughout the winter. And thankfully, when we opened the hives this year, all 4 hives that we took into the winter got through the winter. And speaking to other beekeepers, that hasn't been the case locally. Many beekeepers have lost up to 80% of their bees, so we did really well here, which I'm really pleased to say. This year, though, has been a different year. So it has been cold and it has been wet right up until Easter, and they're saying that the spring this year was probably one of the wettest on record. What that meant was I didn't get much opportunity to open the hives up before Easter. I think I visited once and had to look very quickly. Because of that, I didn't get a chance to do any swarm preparation and swarm prevention. So we did end up with swarms in early April, which is unusual, and I'll come on and talk about swarms in the second part of this presentation. But yeah, since Easter, it's been drier. We've had some lovely days, but hasn't been consistent. And we've got 4 hives now that have got new queens in. They need to go off and make mating flights anytime now. And now we've got almost a week's worth of rain coming. So timing wise, it isn't a great time. We may end up with unmated queens because of this, which will cause us problems further down the line. So we're really trying to manage the situation with regards to the weather and where the bees are at this time of year. So very quickly, before I go on and open one of the hives, I'll talk about what you may see today. So we're going to open up the hives. We'll show you all the parts of the hive, the honey, where the honey is created in the hive, and also the lower part, which is the brood box, where we will be showing you hopefully signs of the larvae, the pupae, and adult bees. The eggs are very difficult to spot. They're tiny, so I don't think I'll be able to show you those, but it's something that we do look out for as beekeepers to see if the queen is laying. 99% of the bees in the hive you'll see today are worker bees. They're all female, and that's the bee on the left there, the smaller one of the 3. The bee on the far right hand side, the drone, is the male bee, and there are drones in all of these hives. I've seen them, so I'll be able to point one of those out to you today. They're slightly larger, squarer, and they have bigger eyes, so they're quite easy to spot. And a lot of people, a lot of new beekeepers think that that's a queen, but queens are actually very much like a worker bee, but just slightly longer. They're quite hard to find if they're not marked. If we find her in this hive that we're going to open today, she'll be marked pink, so should be really easy to spot. And I don't know if any of you are beekeepers, but I know pink isn't a traditional colour that we would mark a queen with. That's a legacy thing. Alison, who used to help with the bees, liked pink, and it was also really easy colour to spot. So with good records, it doesn't matter what colour we mark it. We know how old she is, and we know where she's come from. And that queen actually came from a swarm I caught last spring, in Balsall Common in a lady's garden. So I know where she was caught, how old she is, and I know the bloodline as well, and all of these are related to her. Okay, that's probably all I need to show you now. So Karen's going to flick over to Gareth, who's going to do the close-up filming, and put me on mute. Sound as well. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. So we're going to go up to the hives now. Now, Gads is just going to quickly show you what we have here. So we've got a nuke, which is a temporary hive in theory. We've got about 5 frames inside. There's a new queen in this one, so we can't open this nuke up. She's about 2 or 3 weeks old. Well, there are bees going in and out of it. Yep. So this will be transferred into a main hive. And over here we've got another nuke. This is a wooden one. That one's the same size, got about 5 frames inside. And I've got 2 other hives here. This one swarmed 2 weeks ago. That one's got 2 boxes of honey on. This one here is the queen that swarmed about 4 weeks ago. So I'm going to open this one up next. And that's got 2 boxes of honey on as well. Now, of the 4 hives, this one was the most aggressive a couple of weeks ago. It didn't have a queen. So the one we're going to open today is okay. For 2 weeks, but last year it was the one that's done me 20 times. So I'm a little bit nervous about today, not because he's talking to you guys and there's a director on, although that is a little bit nervous. But yeah, this hive is a hive that stings. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that they don't sting me today. Right, so what we're going to do first of all is we're going to light the smoker, and what this is going to do is it's going to protect me, hopefully. Going to put some nice smoke in there. We're going to cover the pheromone scent. The queen's going to, so the emergency pheromones that the workers are going to let off to let them know that somebody's attacking the hive in theory. Keep safe. So we're going to put some light in there. Now, again, if any of you are beekeepers, you'll probably say shouldn't be doing that with a veil on because it could melt, but which is true, yes. But I know this one stings. I don't want to take that. The next layer, which is the cardboard. And finally, the fine needles. If any of you have pine trees in your garden and you can supply me with these, then I'd be really grateful. I had a lady that's recently left who used to supply me with these, and what this does is it gives off a very nice white smoke, although it is a little bit toxic for humans, but it's good for the job. It's free. Right, so we've got a nice white smoke, nice cold smoke. The first job, smoke the front of the hive, and what that does is it stops the bees on the entrance from alerting the other bees that we're going to open a hive up. Can't communicate. Okay. Right, here we go then, guys. Take the roof off. Got a nice new roof to put on here in a second as well. This is an old roof, this one. And there's the roof. So the bees are right up to the very top of the hive, which is quite unusual. It's a good sign. It means that we've probably got a lot of honey being made. I don't like to smoke the top too much because it creates a smoky flavour in the honey. But we'll try and keep the smoke for the bottom part. I'm going to take this layer and this layer off now, which is where the honey's being made, and I'll show you. First of all, I'm going to open this one up and go inside. So the bees have stuck this down with something called propolis. So it's a glue that they make, and it's used to fill in all the gaps. So it just keeps them nice and cozy, stop wasp getting in, and stops beekeepers getting in as well, by the look of it. I think you can eat propolis, or you can buy things with propolis in it. There we go. So there's the inside, absolutely brimming full of honey. We just put a tiny bit of smoke across the top here. You can see there the honey's seeped out where I've broken the seal. I'm starting to drink it. So when we use the smoker, what it does is it thinks the bees think there's a fire happening, and they start to consume honey. So that's why we don't visit bees every day, because this puts the hive back by 3 days by opening the hive. So I'm going to show you one of the outside frames. This one's been in since March. So this is the full box of honey. So that's half ready to be span and made into honey that we can consume, and half isn't. So if I show you that side, I'll explain what I mean. So the top half here has a wax coating. What that means is the bees have worked this honey, they've taken the moisture content out, and they've reduced it to below 16.5% 16.5% water. So this won't now go off. The stuff below hasn't been worked, so that's what they'll be doing, and then they'll cap it when it's ready. So this is pretty much as they've taken out of the flowers, they then regurgitate that with their own saliva. That sounds disgusting, doesn't it? And that's how they bring it down to the 16.5% water content. So this, if we span it, wouldn't make a good honey because it would ferment in the jar, and nobody wants to buy bad honey. So we wouldn't be able to spin this one as it is. If a frame's 80% covered in wax, we can do that. So this one isn't quite ready. I'll show you one of the ones from more the middle. It should be fully covered. They tend to work from the inside outwards. Would have thought this one's going to be a good one. Yeah, there we go. That's a fully complete. Oh, not quite, but probably more than the last. Yeah, there we go. So these are all worker bees. Drones can't get up into the top section. The queen can't get up into the top section because we have something in the way that she can't fit through. So these bees can't lay into the honey, and that means that we can spin that out when it's ready to eat. Literally, all we do is we put it through 2 sieves, and you eat it as it is, raw honey. Now this box will be very heavy. Now I'm going to one here that's caught me. There we go. There we go. Right, this is going to be really heavy. I'm going to pop it down there. If you think about each of these, probably makes 3 jars of honey. There's 30 jars of honey just in that top layer, and we've got 4 hives. And if they're all in the same position, that's 120 jars already. Quite good. Spring honey is my favourite. It's sweetest, but the problem is it crystallizes quicker because of the high fructose content. So we like to spin it out as early as we possibly can. I'm going to be a bit stuck on that this year because our association is redoing our facility where we do spin the honey, so I can't use it until the summer. Right, this is really heavy. This is a new box that I put on about 2 weeks ago, so I would expect it not to be quite as complete. It's not quite as heavy, this one. As you can see there, it's not covered in wax at all. This is being taken from the plants and straight into the honeycomb, and they need to now work on this. It's the same both sides. So this honey can stay in here and it will stay liquefied throughout the spring, throughout the summer. It won't crystallize because the bees will keep this at a temperature 37.5, I think it is, and it will stop any crystallization. It's the moment we take it out of the hive and we spin it and we put it into a jar in an air-conditioned office. Within 2-3 weeks it crystallizes. Always makes me a little bit suspicious when I go into a supermarket and it's cold in there and you've got runny honey. Right, so this is the next section. Pop that there. Right, so that's the honey. This is the brood box. And this metal thing here is the queen excluder. So she can't fit through the gap. She's a bit bigger, she can't fit through. And the drones can't get through either. And drones lay eggs, but they don't actually hatch. Quite a few bees. Just going to watch their behaviour now. This is when they're going to get a bit feisty. I don't know if Sue McNally's on the call, but if she is, she's coming to visit next week. Sue, I won't show you this hive, don't worry. I'll show you the one over there. So, what can we see? We look at the colony when we open up a hive like this, and we look at and see how full it is, and we look at how many bees we've got in each seam. So the fact we've got bees in every seam tells me that it's a full hive, this one, and it is the only one I've got that hasn't swarmed. So this will probably have about 20 to 30,000 bees in today. Some of the strange structures here, guys, if you want to have a little close up on these, see these ones that are sticking out here, these are the drone eggs. So
the normal eggs are flat like the honeycomb that I showed you a second ago, but when they're bobbly like this is a drone. Now we might see some drones in a second. There's one there actually. See him? He's a bit bigger. He looks like he's got goggles on. And there'll be others when we open it up. Right, so we're going to put a little shelf on here so that we've got somewhere to put this. I can smoke this section without worrying because we're not spoiling any of the honey. Don't want to over smoke them though, because that also then has less effects later on. And they're actually behaving okay. I haven't got any on me at all. I have laundered my suit, so I know it's nice and clean. It's got no scent on it from previous visits. What will happen is as the bees start to get annoyed with me, they will start spraying me with an emergency pheromone, and I'll be able to smell that, and I'll tell you when I can smell it. Once one starts doing it, they will all start doing it, and then they will go into attack mode. So that's what I'm looking for. But at the moment, they're behaving. As you can see here, when I smoke the bees, they'll go in. So I'm able to control them at the moment. They're doing exactly as I would like them to do. I'm going to take this first one out. What we find is the outside ones will be honey, and then the further in we go, there'll be eggs. All right, so this is a heavy frame. It shouldn't have any eggs on at all. It should have honey. So there we go. There's a bit of capped honey at the top there. I'm going to show you what I can see. So there's a drone, slightly bigger. And all of these are, that's another drone there. And the others are, well, there's another drone. There's quite a few in here. It's a good sign. It means it's a strong hive. Just check the queen's not on this side. Usually the queens aren't on the outside frames, unless she's trying to escape me. You've got some drone brood at the bottom there. There, see the bumps. If I blow it, there you go. You can see it a bit better now. It's lumps. Okay, what else can we see here? If I just knock some of these off, you can see in this top section here, you can see pollen. So usually what happens is we have like a rainbow of honey along the top, then you get pollen, and then you'll have eggs in the middle, which we'll see further on. But yeah, there's a lot of pollen in here. So bees collect nectar and pollen. The nectar is their food source. That gives them the energy to go out flying and feed the queen, etc. And the pollen is a protein, and they feed that to the baby bees. They feed that to the brood. So you need pollen and nectar for a colony to be strong. So I'm going to just go through into the middle, and I'll show you what I see. Now this is a light one, this one. So no honey on this one. Oh, this is good. If I knock these off, just make sure the queen's not on here. Right. Okay, what we've got here, we've got uncapped brood. Do you remember at the very beginning I showed you eggs, pupae, larvae? So these round white things in there, that's uncapped brood that hasn't yet become a bee. So they're in sort of the second stage from egg to a bee. So they start off like that. The next stage, then they're capped like the ones next to it, and that's a normal worker bee when it hatches. And then it'll come out like this one here. That's a baby bee. You can tell because of the size, and also it's a bit chalky, and in fact it's only just hatched. So we also are checking when we have the bees out for health. So we're looking at the wings. We're looking at if we can see any little varroa bugs on them, which we can't. This one here looks like it's just about to hatch. Just trying to break through. can give it a hand if you want. There you go. So there's a baby bee. See the antennae? So I can get that one out. There you go. Well, she's hatched. So these are worker bees. They're all female. Although the queen is the one in charge in the fact that they need a queen to be able to lay and be a sustainable colony, the workers actually make the decisions on what's going to happen with this hive. So they will decide whether they're happy with the queen. They will decide whether they want to swarm. They will feed the queen up if they want her to lay. If they want to get rid of the queen, they'll put her on a diet so that she can fly. So yeah, the workers make all the decisions. Pretty much a cooperative. You can see on the back there, you've got a patch there of eggs that have been capped. Okay, let's see what else we can see. Now these bees are actually really behaving quite well. So that's good. Let's see if we can now see the queen. So as we get closer to the middle, we'll see more eggs. So this one here is a frame with a lot of eggs. So the queen is laying really well. You can see the eggs here. Sort of like a biscuity colour. We've got what here is called a play cup. So they've made a practice queen cell. They haven't formed it into a fully sized queen cell. And if the queen laid in that and they wanted to get rid of her, they would just extend that with wax and they would create a queen in there. But at the moment, they're probably happy with the queen. So they're just practicing making them. And there's another one there as well. They usually face downwards. Okay, let's see if there's anything on the other side. They're all hanging on really nicely. A couple more play cups there. Just one there at the top. And if I look inside, hopefully there's no royal jelly. No, there isn't. Which is good. Another sign that we're not due a swarm. There we go. And there's all the eggs that the queen's laid. Now, if we look out, we might see a bit of dancing. Keep our eyes out for bees that are doing waggle dance, or all that one was doing a bit of a dance then. On there. Just gone in. Let's have a look on the next frame. Can't smell any of that emergency pheromone at the moment, which is good. But the smoker's gone out, so I'm just going to put some more in here. Just going to keep them safe. Somebody might be interested to know that we're in talks at the moment with some people at Lichfield, and we may have bees in Lichfield very soon. Right, let's next frame out. Okay, just looking to see if I can see the queen. Nothing on here, and there's no queen cells, so nothing to worry about. But there are a lot of drone brood at the bottom there. See them all there? Quite different. They stand out quite a bit, don't they? Can't see the queen at the moment. Okay, this is one of the frames from the centre. Again, it's quite light because there's no honey in it, but it's pretty much all brood. So what we as a beekeeper will predict now is that these will take around about 2 weeks to hatch. So in 2 weeks' time, we'll have a population boom. So if you think this is busy now, in 2 weeks' time, there'll be more bees. So what the bees will need is more food. So if we have rain in the next 2 weeks, that's bad news. And what will happen is they'll start consuming the honey. So we have to read the weather to work out what the bees are going to do in 2 weeks' time. Talking about the weather, we've been looking at the weather all day on the apps. Checked 3 different apps, and they all had 3 different answers today. And thankfully, we've had no rain. The BBC thought we had a 60% chance of rain at 5 o'clock. Okay. Centre of the hive again, nothing but brood. Looking out for that pink, remember? Need to try and find the queen with the pink dot. Right, so she's only going to be in these last 4 now, unless she tries to evade me and goes round the bottom. So we will try and find her for you. There's been no sign at the moment of swarm, so I don't envisage that the queen's gone. We've got a bee here that's brought in some pollen. So that one will be communicating with the others because it'll be telling the others where to go. There you go, it's doing a little dance now. So I'll be telling them where to fly, how far, and what direction. And they'll then conserve their energy by going straight to that location to collect the good source of pollen. This is an interesting thing that happens when they start to create chains. It's called festooning, and I don't know why they do it, but it's quite fun. It starts to get tricky now because they're all spilling out like that. Can't get them back in. 3 more. Is she on these? Right, can't see her. They do evade sometimes. They walk along the bottom to try and escape. So we may have missed her. I'll see you on that one. And the last frame. So she could be hiding here. Can't see her. A little bit more dancing there with the bees. Middle there. That one there especially. All right, we're going to go back through. Oh, there she is. Can you get a picture there? She's there, guys. So she's evaded me and she's on the back wall. You see her? It's just down there. She's probably going to walk along and there we go. You can see the pink dot. She likes darkness, so she will always try and hide from me when I'm not hiding. But there she is. There she's coming back up now. She's there, just there. That's a good sign. And then I want to check. That's not the. This is like before. The queen's laying. She is laying, and there's the queen there on the bottom. So now that we've seen the queen, we know that the hive is a good, strong colony, and it's not looking to swarm because there's no swarm cells. Now she may decide to come up onto this frame, and if she does, we'll find her there. Yeah, she's waved at me again. Okay, sorry about that, guys. She's been a bit shy. So I'm going to slowly start to put this back together now. How are we doing on time?
It's 20 to 6.
Okay, brilliant. So it'll take me about 5 minutes or so just to put this back together. That'll just give me enough time to finish off and give you time for questions. And she's well and truly hidden from me now. Oh, there she is. On the edge there. So she doesn't look too different. And if she didn't have that nice pink dot on, she'd be impossible to find. There she goes, in that hole. So again, even more difficult to find. She's in there. She come out that side? No, here she is. She's at the top there. Okay. So it's slightly longer than the others, but no bigger on the front. Gaz, I think, probably put that pink paint on there a year ago, and it's lasted. She's got slightly shorter wings than the others, which means she can't fly very easily anyway. And she's got slightly bigger legs. They sort of stick out to the side. You're getting a really good view of her now. So we used to have names for all the queens, but I couldn't remember them. So this one's just called Pink. You remember what this one was called again? No. I think they were Greek gods, weren't they, or something? Right, so I'm quite pleased that there I've been able to show you everything I wanted to show you today, and I haven't got stung, so win-win. Pops all back together. So at the moment, this is my top performing hive in that it's created as much honey as the others, but it hasn't swarmed. So we've got a big colony, and the more bees, the more honey is created. So where the others are all swarmed, we've got smaller colonies now, which means there'll be less workers bringing in pollen and nectar until they build back up. So swarming is not ideal for a beekeeper. It's something that we would like to avoid, but as I said at the beginning of this year, because of the way that the weather went, I wasn't able to open up the hives and prevent them from swarming. There are a number of techniques that we use as beekeepers to prevent swarming. They're quite technical, not something I can really answer tonight. It's a diagram job, really. Right, so that's the brood box back together. So we'll get them in and we'll put the top back on. Right, so here's the queen excluder. And now we put the honey back on. Right, so this one first. We keep the brood box closest to the honey that we want them to create, because they can keep the wax warmer, they can work on it easier. So this is the more incomplete honey closer to the brood box, and this honey here is the stuff that's pretty much ready to go. So we put that on the top. Oh my gosh, really heavy. If that's 30 jars of honey plus the wood, that's £15 that box plus the wood. It's pretty heavy. Feels heavier than my dog food though. Right, put this back on. So that's not fitting on very well where I've opened the seal, so I'm just going to have to cut off some of this wax. As you can see here, it's seeping of honey. We can replace these wood parts, so yeah, it's not a problem with that split. I'll see us through to the end of the year. So they're quite clever, these hives, in the way they're designed. This is called the crown board. The crown board goes on the top, and the bees know, should know, that this is the boundary for where the honey is made, and they shouldn't make honey above this board. Although they try to, haven't they? Look. And there's a hole in the top for air ventilation. So ventilation is very important for bees. They want to keep it dry, and they want to maintain the temperature at all times. So when it's hot, they will fan their wings to try and cool the hive down, and when it's cold, they condense into a ball shape to preserve the heat. I've got a newer lid here. I'm going to put this one on. Since I've swapped from the gable roofs to flat roofs, I've had a much better success rate with these bees. I think the gable ones were leaking, and we were losing 1 or 2 hives in the winter, whereas all on flat roofs, we've got all of them through this year. So that's another thing we did. Right, so that's your tour of the hives, and now I can go back to the presentation and just finish off with some more information and some questions.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah.
I had to just take my glove off to unmute myself. Just quickly putting it on.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. Right, good. So we've got 10 on the call. That's brilliant. So you've all stayed. Thank you. Hope you found that useful and interesting. I was really pleased to be able to show you all of those parts that I promised I would at the beginning. That was a good hive to choose, that one, and the weather's helped as well. It's lovely and blue now. Right, so we talked about swarms. Yeah, we had early swarms this year. So swarm season's typically May and June. And last year we had some late April swarms. I've noticed this in the last few years. The seasons are changing, mainly due to climate change. We're getting earlier swarms. This year, and this was partly my doing, we've had 6 swarms from these hives in the early part of April. So as soon as Easter hit, started getting swarms, and we've had 6. And we've only got 4 hives. So how can we end up with 6 swarms? So what happened was 3 of them swarmed, and then further eggs developed into new queens, and then they swarmed as well. So we had cast swarms. So all of the hives swarmed more than once, and that really is bad as a beekeeper. I don't like to see that, but the weather didn't help me on this occasion. However, what it means is we've helped the bee population in the local area. I've been able to help local beekeepers that lost their hives over the winter. So we've helped the population of bees. So that's not a bad thing, is it? So why do they swarm? Well, this picture here is a picture taken from our car park. This was a guy's car who works for us a couple of weeks ago, who unfortunately got a swarm on the boot of his car. So there's a few reasons why they swarm, and as beekeepers we have to try and work out why that is, and we need to try and see that happening before it happens and prevent it, which I wasn't able to do this year. So overcrowding is a factor. So the hive you've just seen there is full, isn't it? There's a lot of bees in there, but they're not showing signs of swarming just yet. And the reason I'm able to prevent that is by putting a double box on the top. It gives them 3 boxes in theory, so a big space. Now, if I wanted to keep them busier, if they were crowded, I could take some of the outside frames out and I could put new frames in, which is just wax without the honeycomb, and that would give the bees something to do. They would have to create honeycomb, which would take them, a couple of weeks. While they're busy, they're not thinking about swarming. So that's another method that we can use when it's crowded, just to keep them busy. It's a good sign. It means that we've got a healthy colony growth. And in my situation, we took the hives that we couldn't look at, and I was aware that we potentially were going to get a lot of wet days, and we weren't going to be able to open them, and the bees wouldn't be able to get out and get pollen and nectar. So I put in the hives something called candy pollen, and I'll show you what this looks like. So we can buy this stuff. It's a block, and it's pretty much like a block of icing with pollen mixed into it, and it's all been treated so that there's no bad things in there. We put that into the hive, and the bees feed on it when they can't get out, if we've got like 2 weeks of rain and there's no food in there. But what that did do was it created super strong colonies which then wanted to swarm. So by saving the bees, I actually encouraged them to swarm, which was the downside. So I would do it again, though. I think that was the right thing to do. The other reason could be that we've got an old queen. So if the queen's 2, 3, 4 years old, and the queen only has a certain number of eggs, and if the queen is starting to slow down in her laying, then the workers will spot this and they will hatch a plan to get rid of the queen. They won't tell the queen, and what they'll do is they'll create a number of queen cells on the outskirts of the hives, and they will wait for the queen to lay in one of those, and then they will form one of those into another queen, and they will keep her away from it so she doesn't see. Then what happens is the queen hatches, they put the old queen on a diet, and then they get rid of her. Half the bees will leave with her, so it's like a forced swarm on their behalf, and there's a new queen then that will emerge. They will plan that just at the right time, when they know that there's good weather in the next few days as well, so that they're not forcing a swarm out to bad weather, basically. So they're very clever in that aspect. As I said, the swarming season usually is May, June time, but that's become earlier now. By July, tends to stop. So it's an early spring thing. And we see swarms. They leave the hive around about 10 in the morning, 10, 11 in the morning, maybe midday at the latest, and they will fly out. They will pause on a branch or on a building or on a car, and they will send out scout bees to look for a new home. And they will pretty much have until sundown to find a new home, and ideally they want to be in that new home by the end of the day. But it can take 24 hours, and the longer that the bees don't find a home, they're more at risk, and the percentage of them surviving drops significantly if it goes overnight from like 90% down to like 25%. So they really want to try and find a home straight away. So there we go. So we have the original nest site. The queen that's in there leaves. She will leave in the hive a new egg with a new queen that's just about to hatch. She will take half of the bees with her. She takes the best half of the bees with her, which is why it's bad news for a beekeeper to have a swarm if you don't catch them, because the best half of the bees go and they take some of the honey with them, and they're all bees that can make wax as well. So they're the best bees. They will then find a branch, in this case here on the picture, and then the scout bees will go and find somewhere, and that's bad news for homeowners, because if you've got a roof with a hole in it, or a church with a steeple in it, or somewhere in your garden you've got a wall with a hole in it, then yeah, you may end up with bees where you don't want them. So yeah, ideally, beekeeper comes along, catches the swarm, puts them in a spare hive. So yes, this is something that we sort of use as a training thing. All early beekeepers use this, and it's an old English beekeeping proverb, which tries to teach us that swarms early on in the year are quite good, because if you catch them, you can actually create them into strong colonies. If you catch a swarm later in the year, you haven't got time to create them into a strong colony, and they're actually not very useful. So that's based on a traditional season, and it starts off talking about May. However, because of climate change, I've seen that this is pretty much out of date now. So what I've done in the next slide is I've written my own version. We got that published in a bee magazine last year. So here we go. So swarm in March. So I have had one swarm in March before, and that was a few years ago, but they're very rare. So a swarm in March is spring's false start, a hungry flight with too much heart. A swarm in April, though rare and fickle, can fill your combs and make gold trickle. A swarm in May is worth a load of hay. A swarm in June is worth a silver spoon. But a swarm in July is not worth a fly. A swarm in August is nature's cruel jest. Too late to build, too late to rest. So hopefully this will help beekeepers in the coming years. Just looking ahead then, so on the 20th of May, we've got World Bee Day. So this is a celebrated annually global event. It's a call to action to protect bees and other pollinators from declining populations due to habitat loss, pesticides and climate change. And the theme this year is Be Together for People and the Planet. So it's basically teaching us to do small things to help, because we have a critical connection between the pollinators and biodiversity and food security. So it's on us to help them. So some of the small actions you might be able to take starting today, because it's the 1st of May today. No mow May. So if you can, don't cut your grass if you've got a lawn, or if you need to cut your lawn, can you leave some of it, maybe a small portion of it, or a part of the garden that you can let grow for at least a month, and we'll go into the reason why next. So this graph here shows you the average colony population, and as you can see here, we are in early May, so we're looking at adult bees, around about 30,000 bees in a hive. Brood is peaking up to like 25,000 bees, but in June it peaks. So this next month is really important. It's when the queen is laying. You're going to get a lot of brood that's hatching, so there's a lot of mouths to feed. If we go on to the next slide, and I'll show you that what happens is, in nature, the opposite thing happens. Unfortunately, tree pollen, which is a really good source of pollen and nectar, starts to decline as it gets into June. So in May at the moment, as you can see there, it's quite high, and a little bit of grass and weed pollen is starting to come through. And yes, we've seen dandelions, haven't we, in the last few weeks. But June, tree pollen drops. So if people all go out and start cutting their lawns in May, you don't have the grass and the weed pollen. If you're only left with the tree pollen, look how low that graph is now if it's just the green, and you've got all those mouths to feed, and you've got a much smaller amount of food available. So that's why No Mow May is really important, and councils are supporting it because it does make a difference, and that's probably one of the reasons why we had a good year last year as well with honey, because it's happening everywhere. We're doing it, councils are doing it, and we're teaching others the reasons why it's important. Other small actions you can make: understanding the importance of weeds. So weeds are plants, aren't they? They're plants that have grown in a place that you haven't asked them to grow, but they are really vital. Dandelions in particular, they are one of the first major sources of nectar and pollen in the spring, and they really are a goldmine for bees. If you can leave dandelions, fabulous. And if you've got a No Mow May part of your garden and you can let dandelions grow, they will love you for it. And if you check dandelions throughout the day, you will always find something on them. Certain pollinators, not just honeybees, but other bugs and insects, they are a really good source of nectar. There are a few other things there that will pop up throughout the year, which if you can leave, fabulous. Ivy is a good one towards the autumn. It's one of the last sources of nectar that bees have before they go in for the winter. So it flowers around about October time. You've got clover in the garden in the summer that grows in the lawns, and then that can create a little purple flower sometimes. Some of the best honey we ever produced was during lockdown when lawns weren't being mowed. We had loads of purple flowers all over the lawn here at work. We created some really deep, dark honey that year because of that reason. Thistles as well, really good source of nectar and pollen, and they will pop up throughout the year. Other things you might want to do, change the way that you handle weeds. I know not everyone wants to leave weeds in their garden and some want to remove them. So I would ask you, if you do use sprays, to either remove them by hand if you can, or if you do have to use a spray, check that it's a non-glyphosate weed killer. The two examples on the screen here do have glyphosate in, and they're easily readable. They're both available in major hardware stores, including B&Q and others. So yes, you're looking for non-glyphosate weed killers, because the glyphosate, what that does is it poses a direct risk by disrupting the gut bacteria. It impairs the bee memory, it damages the larvae, so it just weakens the colonies. So if you sprayed it on a bee, the bee wouldn't die, but over time that colony will collapse. You can also put plants in your garden. That's one of the obvious things that we will always go on about here, and I've just given you the top 10 flowers that attract honeybees. This is off the British Beekeeping Association website. So hellebore species, the salver species as well, and then you've got echinacea and rudbeckia, lavender, and snowdrops. The snowdrops, one of the first things that pop up before crocuses. And then you've got crocus, cosmos, sedum, and verbena. We've got some verbena here at the office. They really do attract the bees. All sorts of bees as well, not just honeybees, but bumblebees and other pollinators. Brilliant. So that brings us up to the end, but I do have time for questions. If anyone's got any questions for Gaz or myself, we'll only be too pleased to answer them. We've got a question from James, I think.
Hello. Hi Lee.
James.
Fascinating. Really enjoyed watching you in the hives and showing us everything, which was fantastic. Oh, a couple of questions. So first one is, how long have you been involved, and what made you get involved in this, and what was your passion for becoming a beekeeper?
Thanks for the question. Yeah, so it was probably about 2010 that I first became a beekeeper. So I was at Southern Co-op at the time. I was working in membership, as I am now, and my boss was head of PR for Southern Co-op, and I said to him, we should think about getting bees, because it would be a good PR story. It's as well, it just demonstrates that co-ops are values-driven businesses and they're concerned for the community and the environment. So that was the reason why I wanted to get bees involved at Southern Co-op. So we introduced 4 hives, and I paired with a local beekeeper association to look after the hives. I wasn't so hands-on. And when I came here in 2012, one of my colleagues here, Nick, who was on the board of directors up until last year, he suggested that we brought bees in, and Gaz and Nick were the early adopters of this, and I joined the team. So we brought the hives in. We brought 2 hives in 2018, and same reasons. It was to show that co-ops are not just talking about values and concern for the community and environment, they're doing something about it, and sustainability and all the good things. And also, we're a food retailer, and it goes hand in hand with the chain, the food chain. So there's many reasons why we should be doing this, and many reasons why we will continue to do this. But that's what got me into it. And yeah, 9 years on here at Warwick, we're going to expand with another 2 hives this year. They will either be here or at Lichfield, and that decision's being made at the moment.
Well, if they are at Lichfield, I'd love to get involved in some way or another. So yeah, definitely pop my hand up for that one, and pop me down and keep me in mind. My next one is just, where can I buy some honey from?
Okay, fab. We will definitely have honey available this year. At the moment, we don't have any. We have honey in the hives, but we just can't extract it, as I don't have a resource to do that this spring. But that will be built. We'll have a brand new facility locally here in the summer, so we will have loads of honey, if the bees haven't eaten it, to sell, and we'll bring those jars to Warwick and to Lichfield. Fantastic. So that you'll be able to buy them. And usually we sell them at £5. It's raw honey, so it's unpasteurised, untreated, the best honey you would ever buy in this country. Not mine, but raw honey is the best honey.
Yeah.
So
well, I look
forward
intended. To that. I look forward to it. Thank you, Lee, and thank you, Gaz, as well.
I can
Gaz can't hear,
vouch.
No, so thank you.
I can vouch for that. The honey's really good. We get them every year. We buy them every year. So yeah, I can vouch for that.
Anyone else got any other questions?
So Deb's just saying, thank you so much, Lee and Gaz. This was, as Jane said, fascinating. Great insight to the world of bees. Bonus in the little baby bee hatching.
Yeah, I thought you'd like
which
that.
I thought was really good. Yeah.
I mean, there's some of the great things you can see on a daily basis are obviously the bees hatching. When you see the queen as well, that's another great sign. Honey, loads of honey in the boxes. That's a great sign. And just healthy colonies as well. You know, the fact that colony is probably got 30,000 bees in, and they're not looking to go anywhere. And actually, they've really behaved this year. And that was a horrible colony last year. It stung me 20 times on the legs, that one, through my suit. So yeah, I wasn't looking forward to tonight, but they've turned a corner this year. And if that would have continued this year, I would have had to have succeeded that queen with another queen. So one of the queens that have swarmed, I would have introduced them into that hive and had to cull that queen, and that would have changed the behaviour of the colony. But she seems to have sorted it out, which is good.
Lou's got a question for you.
Yep. Hi, Lou.
I think he's just yeah, that's brilliant, Lee, as usual. You've just answered it. I think I was going to ask that does she breed the temperament into all her babies, but you just answered it and said yeah, that if it had continued, you'd have had to have moved her on.
She does, yeah. And if she continued to be aggressive and she had created a swarm, that queen will also have that same gene in it as well. So this is good. I think what I've learned is this is a really protective hive, and when it's honey time, when I'm looking to extract the honey, they just don't like me taking their honey. I think that's probably what it is. But yeah, I'm happy if that's the case. I just know what to expect, and I'll double suit in August when I take the honey off that one.
Lee, can I ask? You said you had quite a few swarms last year, and it was your fault. Why was it your fault? That was down to you. You said. Why was that?
I mean, this year was probably more my fault because I wasn't able to prevent these ones. That's partly because of the weather. So yeah, I should be able to see the sign of a colony preparing to swarm, and if the weather's on my side and I have the ability to do something about it, and I've got a spare hive, I can split the hive. So I can take the queen and some of the workers and put them in a new hive, and leave some of the eggs that she'd produced in the old hive, and they will create an emergency queen cell and create a new queen, and that will, in theory, split the hive. The colony then will think it's swarmed, and it then won't swarm. So that's the really easy technique to prevent swarming. There are a few others which are a bit more technical, like swapping the hives around, and so that the worker bees fly into the wrong hive, and it goes on. There are so many different theories. It's quite complex, quite difficult, but that would be an easy way of preventing it. But yeah, this year I didn't have any spare hives, and the weather didn't allow me to do it either. So I didn't spot the signs. I couldn't do anything about it once I saw the signs. So we ended up with 6 swarms. I caught all 6 of them, by the way, and they've gone on to either stay here or gone to other beekeepers. So we haven't lost them. We've helped expand the population locally.
Brilliant. Amanda's got a question for you.
Yeah, I might have missed it because I was still at work earlier. But so when the bees go into the hive, do they stay there for life then? And if so, how long do they live?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thanks. So how long do bees live? So the worker bees in the summer, they will last 6 months. And they will produce, on average, they say, a teaspoon of honey in their lifetime. So if you think about a jar of honey, you think about how many bees will have had to have created that jar of honey. In the winter, so did I say 6 months? 6 weeks, sorry, got it wrong. They last 6 weeks in the summer, the summer bees. In the winter, they last 6 months. So the winter bees, the queen lays around about October time, are going to have a prolonged life, and they will get through to the early spring, and then those ones die, and the new bees that are created then have 6 weeks life, and they will just keep creating new babies just to keep the population going. So yeah, 6 weeks and 6 months, so it's a very short life. Oh, and in that 6 weeks, this is really interesting, they will have jobs. So the youngest bees will have really basic chores. They will be doing cleaning and looking after the other babies as they hatch, feeding them, and then as they get older, they're trusted to do other things. So only some of them will be trusted to look after the queen. There will be, for any of you that work in the funeral profession, there are undertaker bees that take the dead bees out because they don't want dead bees in the hive, because that can create disease. So that's their sole job. There are also bees that sole job for that day is to stand on the door of the hive as doormen or doorwomen, and they will be making sure that bees from other colonies aren't coming in, or wasps or anything else, and they will be putting their life on the line for the day, because if they do have an attack on the hive, they have to go and sting whatever it might be, and with a honeybee, once they've stung, that's it, they die. So because it pulls the insides out of them. So yes, they're all given jobs depending on their age, and then the oldest bees are the ones that are allowed to go out and forage. So they will be the ones that will fly out to 2 or 3 miles to in the direction that their previous bee has told them to go, collect the pollen, collect the nectar, or go to the nearest pond and get a drink, bring it back, and bring it back for the benefit of the hive.
Lovely. Thanks, Lee. That was really interesting.
Thank you.
Lee, quick question. Did you have any problems with hornets last year? Because I know they were around, weren't they? And people were being asked to keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, hornets. So we didn't have any of the Asian hornet, and we are constantly on the lookout for those. We did have the European hornet here, but they're not so much of a problem. They do pick off the bees, but they do it on a very small number. And I saw a European hornet take one of the bees from the side of the hive last year, and I watched it fly up onto the tree and eat it. But they don't do it a lot. So we can live with them. They're sort of nature's pest control, really. They're good for the garden. They look like wasps. They're bigger, much bigger than a wasp, but they look like a wasp. Whereas the Asian hornet that hasn't yet reached this area looks quite different. It's black, it has yellow legs, and it's slightly different in shape and size as well. Now they are a problem because they will find a hive and they will hover outside and they will pick bees off one by one, and then they'll go and tell their friends, and then there'll be 2, and then there'll be 4, then there'll be 8, and then they'll swarm the hive eventually. So what they do is they will drain the hive as much as they can of worker bees. They'll stop the bees being able to fly out, which stresses the bees as well, because the bees are scared to leave the hive in case they get caught, and the colony collapses. And once the colony has lost its fight, they will enter the hive and they will eat everything in there, including all of the larvae and everything. So they can decimate a hive. That's why we don't want them in the UK. They have managed to get into the outskirts where you've got the ports like Kent, Portsmouth, Plymouth, even up in sort of Hull and up that area, because you've got shipping containers being brought across on ferries. They're hopping on the top of lorries and getting off. So beekeepers are looking out for them, and if you spot one, we have to report it to DEFRA. They come out and they look to see if they can find the nest. If they catch one, they will usually they will keep it alive. They will attach a bit of silver foil, a string of silver foil, and they'll let it go, and it'll fly off in the direction of its home, and they'll know which way to go and find it. And they know it's probably 200 meters in the direction it's flown. They'll go and find the nest and they'll destroy the nest. So the beekeepers that volunteer to do that are very brave. They can sting through these suits. So they've got special suits as well, but not a job I would want to do that. But it's going to come, within the next couple of years, and we say this every year. This could be the year if we have a winter that isn't cold, and they can, and one queen gets left and is able to hibernate in your area. She can create a load of hornets the next year, and then that's it. It's game over, really. So at the moment we're lucky we haven't got them, but come back to me in 10 years' time, and I think they'll probably be they'll just be part of the normal everyday life of a beekeeper, trying to prevent losing their colonies.
Lou's got a question for you, Lou.
Yep. Hi, Lou.
Gaz.
Hi, yeah. Are there any more hives on the technology park, Lee, or are you the only beekeeper? Are we the only beekeepers on the park?
National Grid's only over the road, and they used to have hives. I don't think they do anymore. So I don't think there are any other hives in the technology park. But just over the back of here, there is a school, and that school does have hives because Nick helped set them up. So I know they've got 4 hives, but they're probably about a mile away. So yes, the queens that are unmated will probably end up being mated by the drones from the hives there. We obviously don't want the drones from this colony mating with her, because otherwise, it affects the bloodline. So you do need bees locally, but they're not a threat. So the bees we've got here have pretty much got the run of this area. We've got a lovely pond with loads of plants over just 100 yards in front of me over there, we've got loads of trees. So we've got loads of spring crop for them. It's when it gets to summer that we struggle a little bit, because we're not in a residential area, and bees in urban environments do really well because people have window boxes, people have small gardens, and they put lovely flowers in pots and stuff. We don't have that round here. So yeah, we're really strong on the spring honey, but we struggle in the summer more so.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Gaz. Has anybody else got any more questions? I am conscious of time, but we're happy to sit around if there's any more questions, but can't see anybody with their hands up. There's no more in the chat. So I'd like to say thank you to Lee and Gaz for this. It was really good. Yeah, pull Gaz in. There he is. Bless him.
There he is.
It was really good. Thank you, guys. And I know we've tried doing this before, haven't we? And we didn't quite get as much detail as we did this time. We actually saw the Queen and that. So that was really good. So thank you so much.
Good.
Just
I'm
to
glad
let you
you
know,
were able to see it.
to let you know what we'll do with this recording is it will get topped and tailed by the lovely Gaz, and then it will go on our YouTube channel as well. So if you want to watch it again, it's there. We have got some more online events coming up, so keep a lookout for those in our newsletters and on our website. And obviously we've got our first joint AMM annual members meeting on the 20th of May, which was when this was scheduled to happen until the meeting was put in the diaries. So yeah,
On World Bee
come and
Day.
join us. Yeah, on World Bee Day. Yeah, so yeah, come and join us. Where it's at 7 different venues. So yeah, it's the first joint one with where the Mid Counties and Central Co-op have merged. So that should be quite exciting. So once again, thank you ever so much for taking time in your evening, and we'll let you have the rest of your evening back and have a lovely weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.